Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Welcome back to Setuju Tak Setuju with me, Fat, and also Abang Imran.
Yeah.
Yes.
Panggil Imran aja tak
Oh,
payah.
Imran.
Habit.
Habit. Okay, so
Kita budak-budak baik.
betul. Saya hormat.
Okay, apa dia?
So kita again our sponsor for today's episode is FAATHIMAHFAKHRUDDINPROPERTIES. As always, she will always be here to help you with your property needs.
InsyaAllah.
Daripada nak beli rumah ke, nak beli, again dia cakap mention boleh beli, dia cakap. So dia cakap
You all
boleh.
beli mention, pasal I pula boleh beli mention.
Betul, dia cakap gitu. Okay, but even if you guys don't need to beli rumah baru beli rumah ke whatsoever, if you want to know what are the current market trends, or even you just want to know how and where you guys can invest in the property market, you can always go to her. She Fatimah and her team will always be ready to help you.
I tolong lah. So you can contact me at 82689136. You can call or WhatsApp if you're not comfortable with calling. You can also look through my Instagram, Facebook. I have some good videos there for those who wants to take their first step or those who wants to know more about the market. So it's FAATHIMAHFAKHRUDDINPROPERTIES, both for IG and Facebook. TikTok will be Agent Fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
So let me just go back to Imran.
Had a good
over here.
session previously.
Correct. Okay, so the last episode kita berbual pasal white supremacists.
Yeah.
So maybe for the lack of for the lack of better lack of
Understanding.
information, lack of knowledge for the rest who don't know what white supremacists is, you want to give a brief understanding or description?
Well, these are basically people who think that their whiteness puts them in the higher scale of humanity.
Okay.
And they have they have very racist views towards people who are non-whites.
Okay.
Yeah. So just now we spoke about stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
And then we move into how certain Muslims have stereotypes about Jews because they don't really have any interactions or friendship even with a Jew. So they just believe in whatever stereotypes surrounding the Jew. So it's similar with white supremacists in which they have stereotypes about Muslims, about us, right? They think that, Muslims generally they are prone to violence. There are always angry people out to protest and create a lot of destruction in society. There are a lot of terrorists. So they have that view. But really a lot of them don't really have deep personal connections with any Muslims. They only believe what those stereotypes about Muslims that are circulating, right? So it's the same thing between a Muslim who has stereotypes about Jews and then they feel that the Jews are their enemies, and the white supremacists who have stereotypes about Muslims and thinks that Islam or Muslims are the enemy. Yeah. So actually they are the same actually on both extreme ends, right?
Okay. So they also have like you said, they have a binary view
Yes, exactly.
of life, like in a sense.
Yeah.
It's because of lack of knowledge of a certain belief or
Yeah, I wouldn't say lack of knowledge because knowledge is there for them to learn, right? We are live in an age of information where you can easily
That's
get
true.
information,
Yeah, that's
correct
true.
information.
Reluctance?
But it's the prejudice that they have. It's the
Themselves.
prejudice
Deep-seated lah.
towards others.
Yeah, towards others.
So that prejudice makes them, it's like a blinkered, thing that prevents them from seeing something
betterment of others in a sense.
through the lens of goodwill,
So you would say that these are really deep-seated, like from generations to generation where...
possible. It could be from the upbringing because that's how it's being transmitted by parents, or it could be their social environment around them. It could be the general politics in that society that actually pushes those kind of stereotypes. So there's a lot of factors going on.
Right. Okay, so sorry, the previous episode you said that you were once a teacher, right?
A long time ago.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, even now you conduct trainings and so on and so forth. So, because like, and also going back to the topic of the act of terrorism or extremism, right? A lot of it can we all agree that it is maybe a lot of it comes from a political stance. That's why that it happens. Can we say that?
Meaning what?
Like the asas lah, the it comes
the
where
main
it's
motivation
motive.
that they...
It varies. Different individuals enter into that space of radicalization for different reasons. But generally, I would say that people don't start becoming radicalized they have some genuine concerns actually. Let's take the last case of that 17-year-old,
17-year-old.
right?
Yep.
Amongst the thing that he wanted to do was actually to destroy that Makam Habib Noor,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Why does he think that way? Because he felt that, oh, these are all shirk.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is,
which-
this is un-Islamic, and if it's un-Islamic, he must get rid of it. He must
So
destroy
it's
it.
basically a war within the religion itself.
Well, there are certain extreme ideologies within the religion that some people subscribe to, and some people would promote, and eventually, as more and more people believe in those kind of extreme ideas, you will have a problem where some will actually take actions into their own hands and do something about
Yeah,
it.
actually, like, for example, this Makam Habib Noor, right? I've actually heard of it going around.
Yeah.
Like they say this is shirk and all that. But the fact that this radicalization is like one of the things that they picked up on, like those people who are recruiting picked up on, and I don't know, like maybe encourage them or motivate them further to do it. It's very like alarming. Like they are so aware of our internal struggles, you know, that they actually able to use that to.
No, but what's
in
worrying
the
for
first
me-
place, do they have a platform in which they can actually discuss these issues?
Exactly.
Why do people think it's shirk? Why do some people don't think it's shirk? Right? So if you have a platform for people to make sense and you present those arguments, you have a civil discussion over it.
Okay.
Eventually, people would see that these are just differences in opinion, because in Islam we have a lot of differences of opinions on many issues, and we should, take that as a starting point that there is no single understanding of Islam throughout the Muslim world. The fact that we have 4 different mazhab, even within the Sunni world, means that diversity is something that is
that's true.
acceptable, right? And then that chap, unfortunately also, he was anti-Shia. Yeah. So what does he think about the Shias, right? Possibly he thinks the Shias are sesat,
Yeah.
and those kind of ideas.
Yeah.
Who is feeding them those ideas? Where do these ideas come from?
Where?
Right?
Where does it come
Where
from?
does it
That's
come
the big
from?
question.
That's
that
the
we
big
have.
It's a very,
question.
very good question.
That requires us to move upstream and find the sources that has been promoting those kind of ideas. That is why someone like Zakir Naik was not allowed to enter Singapore.
Yes.
That
Because
I understand.
The way he talked about other religions
Yep.
caused a lot of damage in terms of relationship between Muslims and Christians. And we wouldn't want that, because you may say that, well, he doesn't preach violence, but if someone,
Takes it the wrong
continuously
You're planting
think
the
that,
seeds.
continuously think that, these Christians, they are dangerous, they are your enemies, you must overcome them. Eventually, someone will be pushed further from just being
Brave
someone.
enough to take the extra step, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't call them brave. They are cowards, actually.
Oh wow! yeah.
Yes.
Understand.
So let's not give them credit for
Understand.
that.
Yeah.
They want to be seen as brave, but actually they are
Yeah.
cowards, because a real brave person will meet a fellow Christian and say, look,
And talk.
I want to know more about your
Yeah.
religion.
Right.
That is brave.
Yes, I understand.
But if you don't even know a single Christian who's close to you, whom you can have a good conversation over coffee or tea, and you only believe them through what others say about them, you don't have that courage.
I understand.
know?
Okay.
Will you have the courage, for example, to enter into a synagogue and meet with a rabbi, a Jewish rabbi, and say, I want to find out more
Find
about...
out more.
That person is courageous. But if you don't want to do that because you are scared, I'm scared of meeting a Jew, nanti apa jadi
Betul.
Or akidah saya tergoyang,
And that's not. Yeah.
That's not courageous.
Yeah.
So-
In that point of view, yes.
So we must call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Don't give them credit for
I
that.
understand.
But again, the motivation that they have garnered.
Yeah, there was that case earlier, was that teacher, right? So he wanted to.
That was a few years back, or
No,
just
it-
last
No,
year.
it was actually recently.
It was
also.
recently.
Yeah.
It was announced recently. He was detained, I think, in October last year. But the news came out
October
earlier this year.
Yeah.
So that case, what he probably, a lot of us have sympathies for what is going on in Palestine, right? But how do the large majority of us deal with our sadness? That there's so much violence going on. We want to help fellow Muslim also. We channel it through humanitarian work.
Yep.
Help people who are actually suffering. But what makes someone decide, say that I'm going to take up arms and I'm going to fight them there? We live in a nation state. what legitimacy do we have to actually go to another person's country to fight?
Yeah.
Right,
You know, so that is a very dangerous thing. And I wouldn't be surprised that, in fact, I'm not surprised that a person who believes that way has to be isolated, because, there are different stages in which someone becomes radicalized. Firstly, on this kind of issue, sometimes you are neutral. And then sometimes you move up, you become a sympathizer. But after sympathizing, what do you do with it, right? So some decide to do peace building work, some decides to donate to humanitarian causes, but then there are others who then becomes one further up. They become justifiers of why we must actually fight against what they see as the aggressors or the
So
enemies,
technically, these are the ones who are fully evolved into fighting.
because the narrative that they believe is that the way to end this is actually to take up arms and fight.
Oh,
Right?
God.
Because they already have that binary view. They don't see the implications of doing that. You are going to create more and more violence, So then if they believe that narrative, then they try to justify why we must take up arms. But it's still at the level of ideas, They have not really take up arms. They have not really, unlike some cases, we do have cases where people actually
Are already there,
are
right?
already there. They've been to Syria and they've already joined ISIS, for example. Those, very unfortunate cases, right? But now I'm talking about the level of ideas. So when they began to justify why we must take up arms, then that crosses the dangerous line already. After that will be, they feel that they are not justifying why they must do that. They take it as a personal responsibility that now they must do something. Once you reach that level, you need to be isolated already, because you become you are in between thinking and action. Because once you cross into action, then you are at the first stage of inertia. You have that idea that I'm going to do something, but you haven't really done it.
Adrenaline rush,
Yes.
in a sense.
But by that time, it's already crosses the line. It's already in a dangerous
You
situation.
can't stop it.
So
really.
that teacher, I think it's right move to actually isolate him, because in terms of ideas, yes, he has not done what he said he will do, but he already assumed that it's a responsibility that he must do it. It's no longer about sympathizing. It's no
Not
longer.
if, it's when.
Yeah. So at that level, I think he needs to be counseled, and that's why
Which
he was
brings us
isolated.
to the next question, actually, because we are quite impressed with our how we are dealing with it. Like how do they monitor all these activities? Like for the 17-year-old, how did they single him out to see that, oh, there's this activity, okay,
Yeah,
we need to intervene, and then to the point where like the teacher, like at which point do they see that, oh, these activities looks like they are already radicalized, so we have to single him out. So what are the things that are in place for them to actually monitor all these activities?
That one you have to ask the security agencies.
But it's more of social, like more of the activities on
I
social
think
media.
it's a whole of
yeah.
society approach. I mean, we must be able to recognize those signs. And also, what is our own personal responsibility when we see those signs in our circle of friends, in our family members? I know it's tough sometimes, you see, hey, why this person starts to talk in a certain way, right?
Okay, so that's
starts off
one
as
of
a
the
joke,
main.
It really does. It starts off as a macam, you would take it as ini main-main lah, main-main.
Yeah, sometimes we don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
I'll be very frank with you. The first round of Jemaah Islamiyah arrest
Okay.
in 2001, right?
Okay.
When their faces came out in the papers, I was shocked. One of it was a friend of mine
Oh no.
who, I mean, I wasn't very close to him, but he looks normal, We
Yeah.
played soccer together. Say, hey, this guy doesn't strike me like a terrorist,
Yeah.
But he was taking photographs of airplanes and all that as part of his.
What does he do anything with, like, as in, is he in the aviation line ke apa ke?
I think he has access to certain
I think access.
army military complex.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
Oh, that's another.
Yeah.
so I was surprised. I've been to Indonesia and I've talked to former terrorists. They look perfectly normal. It's not like
So
a
don't
psycho.
have the jump bomb or
Yeah,
all that. It's
well,
called the
I don't know.
stereotypes lah.
I mean, you look at those who fly the plane into the Twin Towers,
Yes.
right? I mean, they don't
look
have that
really
typical look,
normal, yeah.
right? They're very modern dressing and all that. You can't really tell because really it's in the mind. The ideology that has seeped in is really, it's fascinating actually to understand why people become radicalized when they actually look normal.
Yeah.
They may even look like you. I may have a chat with you and then suddenly tomorrow do not know.
Right? Yeah, that's
You know?
true. It's
I'm
true.
keeping an eye on you.
It's
ah.
okay.
So it's that's what makes the issue really difficult because you can't really identify outwardly someone
That's
has been
true.
radicalized.
Okay, but what also fascinates me about this, I would maybe fascinate is wrong word to use, but what boggles me would be, you know, like you would assume, right? Like such, like to understand the entirety of it, you would have to be of a certain level. But now it starts at 17. The amount of logic. I mean, it's not logical, but the amount of logic you have to put in yourself to like, okay, I want to understand why they're doing this, and the fact that they have already accepted it, and like, I'm going to do this, you know. So I think maybe you wouldn't need you wouldn't need to be so intellectually.
You don't. Yeah, you know the gaming culture actually provides a lot of.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, yeah, that's a different kind of worms already as a whole.
I mean, now youngsters are into gaming
Yeah,
culture.
that's true.
And
Yeah.
you know the kind of gaming culture, it promotes certain idea of masculinity,
Uh-huh.
right? Oh, you know, you must be strong. You know, the way you portray yourself online is actually someone that you are not in your
In
real
real
life.
life.
Yeah.
So they find a kind of adventure, you know, online, and then you know sometimes the reality and their online, you know,
Doesn't sync.
doesn't sync,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's why if you look at the way ISIS promotes its propaganda, you look at some of the videos that they produce. Don't look.
Don't. I scared later I won't be here tomorrow.
I see it.
You know the kind of music. You know these
Yes.
people standing
Very-
behind the jeep.
Yeah.
High pace, and then with long hair flowing in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
winds,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like some Rambo. You know?
Actually, yeah.
This might be attractive to some youths who are looking for adventure. You know,
Oh, wow.
especially when they are in a situation where they don't have real communities around them. Their only community is online,
Online.
and then they will connect with people who actually think that same way. And then, you know,
pick up from there.
slowly they pick up from there.
Right.
Of course, there are recruiters online also who
Yeah.
are out to see, okay, you know, these people can be manipulated
But
further,
do you know,
right?
like, I mean, just maybe you would know,
Yeah.
like, how or what means, say it's online, do they go through gaming sites, or do they go
Like they
through,
chat on
they
the
chat,
gaming sites.
like,
Or
like
You
you know?
know, well, there are multiple platforms. Some of it is in the dark web. You know, they are not really open platforms. A lot of youngsters know a lot of these platforms, which I don't even know what
yeah,
exist. Right?
exactly.
That's true.
So that's where the danger lurks. But I wouldn't want to, you know, talk about like social media is really dangerous.
Of
No.
course,
You know, generally people don't get radicalized
Mm.
from those platforms. So there are other factors at work lah. Maybe their own personal life, they feel that there's no some don't have father figure maybe.
Yeah.
Some are lonely, or they feel they don't have any connection with friends around them. So they look for alternative communities. And then the elder generation always talk down to them.
Yeah,
You know,
like
they
you don't understand.
You don't understand this. You know, why are you doing this? You
Yeah,
youngsters
yeah.
are stupid and all
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So they need to feel an affirmation. So when you find someone who gives you the affirmation, you know, you have to stand up for yourself. You want to be a hero. That's the problem.
Correct.
Yeah, a lot of people now wants to be heroic Muslims. I want to fight for the religion, but they never ask, what are you fighting
Yeah,
for?
what's your basis, right? Like,
Right?
yeah, it's always it's.
I mean, they have their basis, like what they believe in, but,
Yeah, but
it's
it's-
not well-informed decisions, lah.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
yeah.
It's very.
And if you
I
look,
don't
actually,
know.
a lot of people who become terrorists, they don't really come from strong religious background.
Yes, correct. They pick it up, right? Halfway through,
Yeah.
they pick up. Like, oh, somebody taught me this.
Well,
And is this
if
malang,
you
know?
look, firstly, their life doesn't really reflect an Islamic environment, and then suddenly they turn to religion. They want to become religious, and then they swing to the extreme.
But that's sad,
Right?
I feel.
Yeah.
That is so sad.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause,
Secondly, many of them come from the hard sciences, you know, engineering background. I'm not saying that engineers are like that, but there's one fascinating book. It's called, if I'm not mistaken, why engineers become jihadis or something like that.
Wow.
And it actually traced a certain number of radicalized.
What statistics?
There's a statistic
There's
for
statistics
it.
on that.
Wow,
Yeah,
seriously?
a lot of them actually from engineering background or from the hard sciences. You know, because when you learn social sciences or the humanities, it actually teach you to see different perspectives. So your mind operates differently.
Yes.
Especially, you know, you study literature, for example, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there are different characters that are quite complex. You know, people may have different behaviors and all that.
Study
But
the
if you
characters,
study hard sciences, it's like black and white.
Black and white.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
A leads
This
to
is-
B leads to
this-
C.
this- yeah.
So if Islam is under attack, what you need to do is you need to fight.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay,
So
okay.
so education also plays an important role in terms of that, right? And then sources of authority also.
Sources of authority
Well,
is-
in the past, we normally who do we listen to? You know, oh, the ustad dekat masjid, and they teach akhlak a lot, right? But nowadays, people can find their sources of authorities anywhere in any parts of the world. You know, and sometimes there is that rebelliousness, right? Oh, memang sengaja. I don't want to listen to this mufti lah because ini mufti government lah.
Ya. Kesian mufti tu macam-macam dia kena.
You know, and then you are not really listening to the arguments.
Yes.
You are just rejecting it firsthand like that,
betul.
right? Because you are
Yes, yes.
prejudiced.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We got nothing to learn from this because there are any government orang, right? And then where do we look to? We look to other places in which the contexts are very different. Some of the religious teachers in other parts of the world, they are actually quite radicals themselves because they are also speaking to the political context of their country.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
I guess that varies, right? Like I
Yeah.
feel says Zakir Naik. I've heard his talks and his preachers. Mufti Ming. There's so many other people. There's a ustad from Indonesia, if I'm not wrong.
Abdul Samad, yeah.
Abdul Samad,
yes.
yes.
UAK. Also, they are all very strong.
Firebrand lah.
Yes, it's they're so robust. You know,
I
But
wouldn't call it robust, but yes.
I mean, in terms of
they are
how
intense.
Intense.
Okay,
Yeah.
intense is a very good definition.
Portrayal,
Yes,
yeah.
but I feel it's situated for their own community. Like don't you
Their
think so?
own
I feel-
social context.
Yeah.
Well, but who is their community? They are speaking, you know, Zakir Naik has an international satellite television.
That's, yes,
He's speaking to the
that's-
entire world actually.
Yeah, but don't you think that he also has like it
Motivated.
helps because kena lah dengan orang dia. But for us considering our you know our
Working hand in hand with the government,
Yeah, with-
and then
with
our
our
social
gov-
Kena
integration.
dengan orang dia in what sense?
like I feel macam kena dengan dia punya like
The people.
His
Okay,
audience lah,
you know,
I said.
he claimed that he's a protege of Ahmad Didat.
Yes.
You know Ahmad Didat,
Yes.
right? Well, Ahmad Didat in the earlier days, he was actually responding to very aggressive Christian missionaries,
yes.
you know, who go around knocking on doors kind. So he developed that kind of attitude towards them by wanting to now challenge them and prove them wrong, right? Of course, the later part of Didat's life was quite different because then the funding from certain sources come in, and then he
He has to tone it down a bit.
not toned it down. He became
became
more
what?
international
Oh, wow, okay.
in his approach, that adversarial approach towards Christians, right? Which Zakir Naik was quite different. Who was he responding to? He was just imitating Ahmad Didat, and then he brought it to the international market. And he promoted a very adversarial way of engaging with Christians, as though the whole entire Christian world is now his, you know, his battleground. And this idea of wanting to prove who's right, who's wrong, is really not the approach in which we engage with people of other faiths. You know,
Which I think what he meant was he was actually speaking to people of the same mission or same motivation, which is against the Christianity, right? But the way that he's delivering is to the entire world, so it doesn't fit to all social context, especially like for example in Singapore. Jadi kalau dia buat gitu, it means it's very detrimental to different.
I would say it's detrimental anywhere in any parts of the world. It's not just in Singapore. So I wouldn't say that in some contexts he's okay, in some contexts he's not. I would say in every context his approach is not okay. That's my personal stand. People may disagree.
Yeah.
No, of course. But I feel like macam because I don't know, maybe every time my encounter with Ahmad Didat, with Zakir Naik has always been I have always wanted to find answers. So answers is then and there, and my answers has been answered. That's why I feel like it's.
I mean, I
maybe
grew up
kena lah.
also. I admire Ahmad Didat.
Yeah, I mean.
But then I began to question myself, why do I get attracted to that? Is it because I feel that kalau orang masuk Islam, kita menang?
Okay.
This is actually quite interesting because
Okay.
recently, the issue of Andrew Tate. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
I don't understand. A lot of young boys actually look up to him.
Yeah, they do.
Yep.
He promotes a very toxic kind of masculinity, Even, when he has committed crimes or he was accused of committing crimes, which are very serious accusation of crimes, like rape,
human trafficking,
and rape. These are very serious things.
Yeah.
But then he used now, I'm a Muslim and they're out to get me because I'm Muslim. A lot of people actually just believe that. Why? Because he's one of us now. He's a Muslim. Therefore,
So
we must be with him.
We must be with him.
Yeah, and when he converted, people were cheering,
Yeah.
Because
Kelakar,
why? Is it because we feel that we have
Another stronghold in the religion.
we have an inferiority complex? Muslims have
Oh,
inferiority
I've never
complex
Inferiority of what? No.
of being Muslim because around the world people say so many bad things about Muslim. We feel that Muslim ni
kita
yalah,
ditindas.
kita ditindas, kita kerdil,
Okay,
Ada
okay.
banyak orang yang nak menjatuhkan
Understand.
Islam. So bila orang masuk Islam macam ini kemenangan untuk kita. Oh, we have won one person over. We don't care whether that person is good or not. As long as he's a Muslim, he's one of us. So this attitude is really quite problematic to me. We must see a person based on his ethics, his morality, his goodness.
Yeah.
And this idea that if he's a Muslim or not a Muslim is actually secondary to me.
Okay.
I would rather have a good, and I'm being controversial.
Yes, it's okay. Go ahead.
I would rather have a good non-Muslim who's very ethical, very
Yes.
morally upright, a good person, rather than a Muslim who is unethical, who behaves in a way that actually brings down
who
other
might
human
tarnish the
beings.
rules. Yeah. But I feel that maybe in time, maybe people are more receptive because they feel that with the religion, it will make the person better in a sense.
Yeah, because we think in terms of formality of being a Muslim, right? We're thinking of Muslim with the capital M. What if Muslimness is about your behavior?
Betul.
Is your akhlak?
Setuju.
Is your ethics?
So it's
Is
just
how you
you-
treat other people?
That's true,
Yeah.
correct.
Isn't that Islamic?
Yes,
That's true.
that is very true.
So-
I was always told you don't tell people you're Islam. You show people that you're Islam, right?
From your behavior, people will
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
whether
yeah,
you are a
yeah,
good
yeah.
Muslim or not, right? But
Facts,
here
facts.
we are more excited about Muslimness as an
Who?
identity.
Correct. Yes.
We show, capital M, I'm a Muslim.
Yeah.
But in your everyday life, do you treat people well?
Yeah.
Do you actually show a good example?
Yeah.
So in the this day and age, it's more of the quantity of how many Muslims we have as compared to the quality of it all.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Exactly.
I think the whole salient point of this macam your upbringing, lagi kita ada anak kecil so your upbringing, how you also portray yourself as a Muslim, not only a responsibility to your own family but to the community at large
Yeah.
because we have so like we said lah, we've mentioned the stereotypical stigmas that we have that is against Muslim, tapi tak apa, kita tunjuk that we are Muslims, we are
because
not.
you see, like even in this 17-year-old atau the teachers, we have been taught like you don't have to do such things, but you feel that you have to go the extra
Correct.
mile
Yes.
to do such things
To
to actually
fight for the
portray your
cause
love
lah.
for the cause.
Actually, they are just out to prove themselves.
Yeah. Who are you proving? You know, I mean, it's not a contest. at
Yeah,
the end
that's
of the
why I
day.
say they have inferiority complex.
So that's where
Makes sense.
the love, care and affection from the family that matters. And I rasa kalau kita nak kupaskan ni lagi, kita tak boleh habis sebab dia
Yeah,
betul.
but one thing we should be careful also not to just go on the path of blaming.
Yes,
Of course,
Because I think the
yeah,
responsibility
yeah.
also lies with us, with the wider society. What have we done in society that makes such an individual choose that path?
Yeah.
It's actually kesian.
Correct.
Betul.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
what more can we do actually to create a good environment for our young
But
to
sometimes
actually
it's an
understand?
individual choice, right? Don't you think?
Of course, everything is individual choice.
It's an individual choice that I choose to want to be like this. I do want to believe such things.
Yeah.
So I mean, kesian is kesian. I do kesian kan. When we see such cases, we have to kupas and we have to go back. Like you said, go upstream, right? And see how was his upbringing, how macam parents dia macam mana, family dia macam mana, environment dia macam mana.
Of course. So when you talk about choice, right? Of course there is choice, but choice is also dependent on what are the options. if you have two options, can only choose one, compared to if you have 3 or 4 options. It's a very different experience, right? So, for example, if the choice is either believing that Islam is violent or not, right? So, if you decide, if you read through the papers, you see all these terrorists in the name of Islam and all that, you don't have a different way of making sense of it. So, your options become either you agree with that or you reject Islam. So, what we can do is actually to provide other alternatives of believing in a way in which it gives them a better option to choose. That the choice is not whether to accept or to leave the religion, to reject the religion. And there's a lot of young Muslims who have fallen out of the religion because all they read about Islam is all this angry Islam marah-marah. Tapi
the hostile Muslims.
When orang Muslim marah kan?
Yeah, so everywhere they read, people are, they are so angry. Every single thing also, Muslims get upset and then they go on riots or they do certain things. And they reject this, right? So what's their option? Do they see an alternative way of understanding Islam? They don't. If they don't, then the option becomes, I want to leave the
one who...
Either they just passively say, I'm not going to be religious, or they just murtad. They leave the religion. But where is the alternative for them to show that Islam yang ramah, bukan Islam yang marah?
Betul. Wow. I think we have really, that was a very good wrap up.
Yes.
But that quote is from Gus Dur, actually, from Kiai Abdul Rahman Wahid, the former president of Indonesia, was also the leader of the largest Muslim organization in the world, Nahdlatul Ulama, which is a moderate, progressive movement in our part of the world. But how many of us actually aware of there are such progressive individuals like Abdul Rahman Wahid, Nur Khalis Majid, Syed Hussein Alatas here, many. We don't hear of them. But who do we hear? We hear those preachers prominent who are leading politicized Islamic movements in other parts of the world, in Pakistan, which is responding to their political context, or in Egypt. So what are the alternatives that we can actually give to the public so that at least people can make choices beyond just black and white?
Okay, so that was very intensive and super dissected. I think we can go further, but we really don't have the luxury of time sekarang. Okay, so there are individuals who are very dedicated to having this peace in our community and actually helping us to understand and go towards acceptance towards other religions, interfaith, and a lot of other issues at large. So we really hope this content was really good for you. Kalau you all suka content macam gini, we are more than happy to invite Imran again and then have these conversations which are very, very close to our heart sebab kita semua ada anak-anak, kita ada family and all that. So this week,
I want Imran, ada apa-apa lagi? Your final parting words to ask ke, nak marah ke?
No, I enjoy the conversation. I think there's a lot more that we need to do for our youth.
That's true. Okay, so I think thank you very much for your insights on this whole issue, because like Fat cakap, it's going to go on and on and on, because it's not a problem that has already ended. It's a progressive problem, and in due time, I mean, we can only hope that it doesn't explode into something even worse. But we can always take actions to
help to minimize,
to educate, I would say, and share whatever that can minimize the damage that has already happened or might happen, right?
Inshallah.
All right, Ken. So, nevertheless, this episode has been sponsored by FAATHIMAHFAKHRUDDINPROPERTIES. And again, I reiterate again, Fatima has a has an amazing team that can help you with all your property needs. Again, daripada beli rumah, anything you want to buy, you want to rent, you want to sell, you can find her and her team. Even kalau tak nak beli rumah, you just want to find out the latest market trends, atau you want to invest in property, please, her and her team.
Yeah. So you can find me on IG and Facebook, Fatimah Fakhruddin Properties, TikTok be Agent Fat. I have useful content there, useful information. Call or WhatsApp 82689136, and then I can assist you better.
Yeah.
So that's it for this week.
Thank you very much, Imran. Thank you very much.
It was really good. I'm so happy today. So we see you again next week.
See you again.
All right.
See you.
Bye. welcome back. I'm Fatima from Fathimah Fakhruddin Properties. You can reach me at 82689136. Facebook and Instagram will be Fathimah Fakhruddin Properties, and on TikTok I'm Agent Fat. Okay, so today we want to talk about the most common topic that I think everyone have questions about, whether you should use cash or CPF for your mortgage loan. Okay, let's put it this way. We understand that cash, when you pay fully cash, it does not affect your CPF, right? You're not withdrawing from your CPF. So when you're using cash, you are only accountable for one interest, which is your mortgage loan interest, and it's 2.6% if you're using HDB. And for bank loan, it depends on the loan packages that you choose and the banks. So if you choose CPF, if you use CPF to pay on a monthly basis, you'll be subjected to 2.5% of the accrued interest. So this accrued interest on an annual basis you'll be subjected to it. And what will happen as the accrued interest increase every year, when the time comes for you to sell your house, the accrued interest will actually eat into your sale proceeds. So what will happen then? Your sale proceeds will be much lower. And I think the reason why we normally want to sell our house is actually to get the sale proceeds, right? So it's highly advisable for you to use cash, but I also understand realistically we are always dependent on our cash flow. So we need the cash at hand for our family, for our kids. So I will also suggest for you to do partial payment where you use half CPF and half cash. You can log into your HDB app and actually do that voluntary contribution on your own. So in the long run, using cash will help you better when you want to actually exit your mortgage loan. But if you don't have the option to do that, you may use your CPF fully, but please take note of when you should exit that loan so that you are not subjected to too much accrued interest, such that when the time comes that you want to sell your house, you do not have much cash proceeds. Okay, so if you need more information, you can contact me at 82689136. Facebook and IG will be Fathimah Fakhruddin Properties, and TikTok will be Agent 5. Thank you.